Now, staying here in the UK, the largest maternity review in NHS history, looking into Nottingham University hospitals, has produced numbers that are hard to comprehend. Since 2010, 62 babies and 6 mothers have died. 93 babies were stillborn, all because of what the report calls deep-rooted systemic failures in maternity care. The review, led by the former senior midwife, Donna Ockenden, also found a bullying, toxic culture with a failure to listen to parents. Michael Buchanan's report contains distressing details from the start.
These are the faces of some of those who were failed, who never lived, who were harmed, or whose mothers were maimed. And these are the families whose persistence revealed the scale of the failings. The deaths of Harriet Hawkins in 2016 and Winter Andrews in 2019 were the catalyst for today's review.
I'm surprised at how big the scandal really has been shown to be. Really buoyed by very strong language from the chair of the review, Donna Ockenden. She didn't mince her words, nor should she.
I just feel an immense sense of anger that it was allowed to happen.
At a news conference today, the families heard the senior midwife, Donna Ockenden, reveal that a toxic culture at the Trust had failed hundreds of families.
What happened here in Nottingham cannot be allowed to remain in the shadows. And because the women, babies and families at the centre of these pages deserve, at the very least, the truth.
The report found that women in labour were repeatedly told to stay at home when they needed medical attention. They were denied caesarean sections when they were in distress. And when things went wrong, families were often not told the truth. No investigation, no learning.
My team have absolutely and definitely found evidence that cases that should have been graded as serious incidents, which would have meant they would have been subject to external scrutiny, were downgraded, looking at the fact that over a prolonged period of time, Nottingham avoided using well-established national systems. I think there is only one conclusion we can draw.
A cover-up.
Yes.
Having failed to deliver their baby safely, the Trust on occasion also failed to provide dignity in death. One baby decomposed in its mortuary care, another was disposed of as clinical waste. The Trust apologised unreservedly for the harm, loss and distress they'd caused. Have you considered your own position?
Yes, of course I have. I don't think you can do a job like mine and not reflect on where things haven't gone well, because at the end of the day, I'm accountable for that, nobody else. For the moment, I feel I've got the confidence of the board and I want to continue because I think we are on the right path.
In light of the Nottingham failures, ministers promised to draw up a maternity improvement plan for England within 6 months, including giving women a legal right to a second opinion. For those families who've spent years fighting the NHS, today was a small personal victory.
Our little girls needed each other, like they needed each other to prove that the Trust hadn't learned.
It's Winter's story that I'm telling, and it's the difference that she and Harriet make that's really important to us.
One harmed mother said these babies are part of a club no one wants to be in. Their fervent hope is that going forward, fewer families will have a need to join. Michael Buchanan, BBC News, Nottingham.
Well, I'm joined now by Charlotte Cheshire, a mother who was affected by this from the 2022 Shrewsbury and Telford Ockenden review and a member of the Maternity Safety Alliance. Thanks so much for being with us, Charlotte. Before I ask you about your response to this report, would you mind just telling us what happened to your child?
So my son Adam is now 15 years old. He is a survivor of what became known as the Ockenden review into Shrewsbury and Telford, but he survived with catastrophic multiple disabilities. So he now lives full-time in residential care because he needs multiple adults to look after him. He has a brain injury. He is both hearing and visually impaired. He has severe learning difficulties and many other disabilities as well, all of which the hospital trust admitted in court that could have been avoided and was 80% as a result of medical negligence.
And the impact on you and your family of this?
It's lifelong. My son will never live the life that he should have or could have lived. Thankfully, he doesn't understand any different, so he has innocent joy in life. But The simple reality is that my 15-year-old son has not been able to live at home with his mother since he was 11 years old because it wasn't safe. And that because of the medical care he did not receive and the avoidable errors that were made at the time of his birth. And right up until the point that my husband died in 2020, he suffered nightmares from what he saw of crash teams surrounding my son, trying to resuscitate him, all of which could have been avoided.
So sorry to hear of what's happened to your family and to your son, Charlotte. But can I ask you? We've had this huge review. A lot of work's gone into it. What do you make of it?
My heart absolutely goes out to the families in Nottingham, because hearing their stories, hearing so much that is in common with families from Shrewsbury and Telford has been heartrending. And I was in tears listening to and watching Donna's report. And I have the greatest of admiration and respect for those Nottingham families who, when they should have been able to just grieve for their children, were in fact campaigning for this inquiry. And I have the greatest of respect for them. And at the same time, it should not have been needed. We should not have had to go here again. I'm grateful for Donna Ockenden's efforts. She is amazing, and this should not have been needed.
What needs to happen now?
In my opinion, we now need a statutory public inquiry for the very simple reason that while, as I say, I have the greatest of respect for these investigations, ultimately the fact that they keep happening and that every one that happens is then the largest in NHS history, and we know there are more to come. There are Leeds, there are Sussex, etc. In my opinion, we now need a situation where the courts can compel evidence, because we've heard in Nottingham, just as we heard in Shrewsbury, that while some staff were willing to speak to Donna Ockenden and her team, others were not willing to, for various reasons, some of which because they feared professional consequences or bullying. And I think only a statutory public inquiry can now get to the bottom of what's going on, can compel evidence, and can have a fighting chance of fixing this so that future families don't have to endure the hellish trauma and grief that families like mine and families like Nottingham families have done and will carry with them for life.
It is, to so many people looking at this, utterly shameful that this country is in this position, failing so many families. At the heart of it, why do you think the politicians, the doctors, the medical establishment, the political establishment are not reacting, haven't reacted over all this time?
Sadly, we've seen before that on the day of one of these reports being published, that there are endless media coverage, endless statements from politicians saying that everything will be accepted, everything will be acted on. But as Donna said today, when those same statements were made in 2022, when our report into Shrewsbury was released, the politicians and the national leaders all said change would happen. And 3 years later, we're in the same place. And now they are saying change will happen. That's why, in my opinion, we need a statutory public inquiry, because whether the will is there or not, the change isn't happening. And I think we need now the teeth of the law getting involved.
Charlotte Cheshire, we wish you and your son the very best. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break now around the world and across the UK. This is BBC News.